Hello friends, how are you? I hope you all are doing great and studying regularly. So in the previous lesson we finished off our externality part, which was the first reason of market failure. Now we move on to the public goods. So first of all, let's see what are public goods. So any goods that possesses these two properties will be considered as a public goods. So now first of all, public goods are non-rival in nature in consumption, which means that if public good is consumed by one person, then its amount available for the another person does not get reduced. Okay, for example, if you take the example of road that you are driving your vehicle, so you are driving your vehicle, it is not reducing the demand for the another person riding on that same road. It is still the same road. It's not like you have eaten your ice cream and it is finished. It's like it is still there and you have not reduced the quantity for the another person to use that good. Okay, so you remember this from the example of land. Similarly, non-exclusion public road. Okay, and the second property is non-exclusion. If the public good has been provided, then it is not possible to exclude a person from consuming that good. It means that if there is a road, there is a highway or a public road which you drive a vehicle on. So if you are driving your vehicle on that road, you cannot restrict me to not drive on that road. That means it is not exclusive, that you cannot exclude any single person from the usage of that good. Okay. In fact, it will be Pareto inefficient to exclude a person. Due to non-exclusion, there will be problem of free rider, and due to free rider, market failure rises. Okay, so this was all about public goods. So now we will see that how the market demand curve of public and private good looks like. So I have already drawn for you just to save the time. Okay, so here I took the quantity of private goods and here I took the quantity of public goods, right? So here if you see, these are the two demand curves and let's name it as dA and it is dB, and here quantity of private good, here price, public good, price. Okay, first we see the private good. So now there are two demand curves, dA and dB. Okay, so now if you want to calculate the market demand curve, you know that it is the summation of the individual demand curves. This you have studied from your 12th class. So now if you see after the P1, like above the P1, if you see that above the P1 there the consumer A is not consuming anything, and because it is not coming on its demand curve, so his consumption is 0, and whatever consumption is from this point is of B. Okay, similarly if you go from this price, from you go above P2, then both will be consuming 0. Okay, so if you come down, here also 0 at P2. If you come little down, then D demand for A will be 0, because it is still greater than P1, right? So demand for A will be 0 and the whole market demand will be this curve, that market demand curve. Okay, and if you come below it, now if you come below it, let's say this level, so you can see both are able to purchase this level. So here from this point you will start adding on their quantities. So let's say, I'm just giving you a brief, let's say here it is X and here it is Y. Okay, so if you see at this point that where prices are 0, so A will be consuming X and B will be consuming Y. So if you want to see till where its line goes in the intersect in the axis, so it will be the line where X plus Y will come. Okay, so this is your whole demand curve. So this was for the private good, and it is also known as horizontal summation, because I also taught you by doing horizontal summation only. You can remember from this pen also. Like, similarly in the public good we do your vertical summation. Okay, similarly now we will see it with respect to your quantity. Now, so if this quantity of public goods are there, then no one wants it, right? At a even price 0, no one wants that public good. Similarly, if you come here, still no one wants, then you come till here, okay, after X and before Y. So you can see there is only the consumer B who is going to consume that public good. So it will be like this, and after that there will be going to a summation. If you come below X, there will be going to a summation of these two. That's why it will go like this, and it will go till where? It will P1 and P2 at 0 quantity. The prices are which they are going to pay is P1 and P2. So similarly, the demand curve will maximum go to the level where it is P1 plus P2. Okay, it's, you can see from your eyes of your heart. Okay. Okay, so this was all about the market demand curve for both the goods. So now let's do one numerical for the public good. Okay, so there are two consumers C1 and C2, right? And their demand functions are given as P1 is equal to 100 minus Q1 and P2 is equal to 200 minus Q2. Okay, and MC is given as 120. This implies TC will be 120 into Q, and you know that MC is constant, so it will be equal to the AC also. Okay, so now if you see here, what are their total willingness to pay? We know their total willingness to pay here is P1 plus P2, right? Total willingness to pay, it is P1 plus P2, and you can substitute these two values, so you will get 300, 100 plus 200 minus 2Q. Okay, sorry, it won't come as Q1 or Q2 because it's public good and it is the same thing only, so it will come like this, 300 minus 2Q, and it will be your final price, total willingness to pay. Okay, so now you will apply the condition that where will your equilibrium occur, right? So the condition will be P is equal to MC. This implies 300 minus 2Q is equal to 120, right? So you will get your Q as 90. Okay, so now if I have to show it in the diagram, what will its diagram look like? Let's see. So this is your quantity of public good and this is your price. Okay, so let's draw the demand curve. You know, demand curve of consumer one was P1 is equal to 100 minus Q. So it will be, you will get the intercept of 100, 100. So it will be like this, and similarly for second one it was 200. P2 is equal to 200 minus Q. So if you mark also here, it will be 100, 200. Okay, this is your DA, this is your TP. So now you know that the market demand for the public good is the vertical summation. That's why we added the prices when we were calculating the total willingness to pay, right? So you can start, this will be your public good market demand function. Okay, this whole, and what will be this unit? This will be this plus this, that is at the zero price, what is the total willingness to pay. If we add the both, it will be 100 plus 200, that is 300. Okay, so this will come as the diagram. So now you have also given that MC is 120. So if you draw MC, it will come here 120 above 100. So this is your MC, and from the condition you got that the optimum condition is 90. So you got 90 here, right? So now you have to see at 90 what prices are they going to pay. First of all, we see what is the total cost. So you know that the 90 is the quantity of total public good that will be going to produce. Okay, and which A and B are going to contribute for. Okay, so now total cost will be what? It will be MC was 120, and if you want to calculate total cost, you just integrate it, so it came out to be 120 into Q. So it will be 120 into 90, that is 10,800. Okay, so now if you put this Q in function of the consumer 1, you will get your P1. Similarly, if you put this Q, you will get your P2. So if I put 90 here, P1 is 10. So that means that the maximum person 1 is willing to pay is rupees 10. And similarly, if you put Q here 90, so it will come out to be 110. So the consumer 2 is willing to pay 110 for that same product. And you can also assume that it is a park. Okay, and he is a good, and it is kind of contribution, and one is producing one is contributing rupees 10 per unit, and the other one is contributing rupees 110 per unit of the public good made. Okay, so if you want to see that how much each consumer paid, so consumer 1 will be 10 into 90, he paid rupees 900. And similarly for consumer 2, he was willing to pay 110, and the quantity produced was 90, so it will be 9900, and if you add it, it will come out to be your 10800. So this was all about the numerical. So now we will see now that when to provide the public good. So now we will see the condition that when should we provide the public good. We will derive out some condition here, and this we will do it in our next class. Okay, so that was all for today's lesson, and in the next class we will start from this topic, that when should we provide the public good. Okay, so thank you guys for watching, and always keep posting your doubts in the comment section. I will be happy to help you. Okay guys, bye.